All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Land of the Lustrous, Episode 8. All right.
Phos lost their arms.
Yes. Both of them. And I don't think there's any getting them back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with the way this is set up, they're basically going to continually break Phos little bit by little bit until they have nothing left but...
Right.
Just parts that are melded with, other things.
And at what point does Phos just become something else entirely? Because with the arms, that'll be around 2/3 of their memories, which is kind of a big deal.
And
their legs too.
Yeah, and thinking about what these ice flows, have some aspect of being similar to the gems themselves, having some kind of,
awareness
inclusions or something that have just collected because they're frozen together, makes them talk. But the idea that Antarcticite said that they wouldn't be able to understand them, but Phos did understand them. That's a little interesting. That's a little unnerving too. Also, the idea that Adamant is completely fine with Phos for the most part, being up and about and not hibernating with the rest of the gems.
Right.
I'm interested to see what he hoped to gain potentially by all this. So, let's get Phos fixed again. Yep. So, without further ado, y'all, let's get into it. All right, everyone, we're going to start the episode in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now.
Yay.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
But the whole dark prediction of Cinnabar being,
I thought they were going to go into the opening at that point, but
yeah.
Okay.
No, Antarcticite is going for the
arms.
For the arms. Oh, and the sword. Whoa.
Oh, man.
Oh, this is bad. 3D.
Bad. Oh.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah, they are definitely somewhat Intelligent, yeah.
Now, how they're controlling how they move around like that, who knows, but...
Whoa. Can Antarcticite see them? No. Okay. Wow.
Well,
yeah. Wow.
Are they going to be okay? Because there's even less sunlight now.
Whoa, okay. I really didn't think they would risk going actually for the arms because, it's...
Right.
You're already weaker just by there being less sunlight.
Well, and Phos might not even remember Antarcticite, so
yeah,
they might not, go to Adamant for help or anything.
Exactly.
Because, maybe after Phos lost their legs, they were still able to, make new memories,
Right.
But...
Yeah. Not having seen the OP so many times, it's about kind of shattering and reforming, But there's this wonder that Phos has about all the beauty, surrounding, and then whereas Cinnabar has this like kind of shrunken in, closed off look.
Yeah.
Okay. Antarcticite. Oh. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. They're okay. It's okay. Aww. It's weird. I haven't heard Killua cry in a long time,
Yeah.
uh.
To find a material that would work for arms? Oh.
I see.
All right.
See, this place seems so small, but then you realize, like, well, actually, there's a decent amount of difference to the locations, so it's not necessarily about, size. It's just about where everything is situated. But Phos is still so snappy and silly in their personality, just like, slow down. And in the place. And with those long legs, it must be really difficult to get up.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Because if you're an immortal, gem being, and you've made zero mistakes, like,
right, exactly.
Because you had one job your entire, like, existence really, that would be quite a...
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Is this a... Oh, it's been, like, shaved off, see?
Okay. Huh.
Wait, so do they mine it?
I guess.
Gotcha. Wow.
Cool.
Okay. No way.
Right now?
No way.
It seems like the kind of thing that would happen only once every few centuries. Gotcha.
Okay. Right. How he knows that, who knows?
Yeah.
Oh. It's cutting time. Whoa.
Oh, clear the snow so that they can see all the things that have fallen.
Okay. Gotcha. Wow.
Very cool.
Okay.
Very heavy.
Of how gold and platinum are the useless ones, even though in our world they're like
insanely
exceptionally valuable. Oh my gosh. A gold arm?
Resistance training.
What? The light? Whoa.
That is a gorgeous shot.
Oh. No way. No way.
Okay. That doesn't look like it's forming arms.
Oh, wow.
Crap. I had a feeling when they oh crap. Okay.
Oh, crap. Always right where Phos is.
Yeah, why is that? Oh, is this like a Lunarian trap, basically? Like,
yeah, it could be.
Yeah. It looks like a big one.
Yeah. Yep. Oh my god, it's a big one. Okay.
All right.
What the heck? What the heck? What is happening? Is this his dream bleeding through into reality?
But that's nasty because he can't leave because then they could take all the other gems while they're in hibernation.
Yes.
Holy crap.
What? What? Oh my god! 3D!
Okay.
Bisected. Wow. Yeah, this is one of those ones. Yep, exactly. The Phos blob. Oh, cracking. What? What was that? What was that power?
Quick! Oh crap. Oh crap. Oh crap. Wait. What?
Fishing hooks. Oh my gosh. Wait. And if those have, like, gems attached to them... Oh!
Crap.
That means they're somewhat sentient.
Yeah. No, 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 no. Oh, this is not good.
Yep.
Oh.
Crap. Phos, we need you at least, or something.
Yeah.
Oh. Wow. Okay. Wow.
Whoa.
Wow. Whoa, that's amazing.
That's a shot. God, Phos is just gonna be coming towards him as a...
What?
What? Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
Behold, I am your new currency. I can't move. Get me out of here. Oh no, I'm drowning in gold. Oh, because all of this is Phos, potentially. No!
No. Another one?
No. It's just that the stress of pulling on it. Whoa.
Yeah. They can't know about you.
Oh, there is another one?
Oh.
To you. Whoa. Oh, there was another one.
Yeah.
Crap. Well, this is going to be a close look at the Lunarians, potentially.
Yeah.
Whoa. Huh. What's that thing? That's a cool thing. No, 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 no. Everyone's like, what are you doing? I don't know, just looking at this cool box thing here.
Oh boy.
Oh, man. That slight smile. Crap. Oh, transformation sequence.
This is pretty cool, though.
If it's soft, it can't break.
Yeah.
It'll just mold and change forms. What? What?
Giant golden flower. I love it.
Yep. Whoa!
Oh.
No way.
Awesome.
What?
What? What even is this?
Tentacle powers are always OP.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Phos! Oh my god, this is amazing! Oh crap, she's bleeding essentially. Wow. Threw it really far though. Oh! Oh! The distance. Adamantite? Are you just gonna catch her? Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, that's a cool shot.
Wow.
That is a cool shot.
Oh. He's like, I missed.
He's like, wait for it.
Yeah.
He's human, isn't he?
No, he's not human. Wow. Oh my god. All right.
This track is so gorgeous.
This is new too.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
This episode was so good.
Whoa. Okay.
Best episode.
This is one of, if not the best episodes we've seen thus far. I think that the thing that blows me away this episode was the visuals primarily.
The visuals were so good.
The visuals were incredible.
Oh man,
there was so much in this that went beyond just like the visuals, but just showcasing, I would say, how a character like Antarcticite cared so much about the special time that they have with Sensei, with Adamant, and that all of their sacrifices were something that was done to, I mean, really be for someone else. Now there's that aspect of, you know, that they really wanted to spend time with Adamant, that they really wanted to be there for him. But I would say a good portion of it is just encapsulated with the, I don't want Master to be alone. I don't want Adamant to be lonely during winter, so I leave winter to you. And dang, you called it so fast, basically, that the only reason why Antarcticite would intentionally break themselves on the gold thing there was that, well, because there was the Lunarians and stuff coming, you know, that they were still there.
No. That wasn't what I was thinking. But there was a point where I think when Antarcticite shattered, they basically showed in the background another one of those Rorschach portals.
Oh, they
opening
did.
Up, yeah.
Oh, I guess I missed it then. Okay. Gotcha. So then they were just trying to get Phos out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if anything, it just worked out very well. That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I question just how much intel the Lunarians have, because when you think about like going through portals and stuff to get somewhere, that's not the kind of thing where I would expect them to have a lot of information about what is going to be on the other side necessarily, right? You know, but like unless I guess if they can make portals, they could do all sorts of stuff.
There's an assumption being made about what they're actually doing. Like, you don't know that they're actually physical portals.
Well,
like, here's one way to look at them. They've never been called portals in the show, as far as I know.
Okay.
But another way to think about it is, remember how they're being called spirit, flesh, and bone?
Yeah.
Well, one thing potentially about the spirit is that it just operates in another realm. So it would be portals, but it wouldn't be portals traveling between three dimensions.
Sure,
it would be like they are everywhere and they can see everything.
Sure.
But they just choose to...
Yeah, parallel dimension as opposed to separate. Yeah. So this episode, I feel like we got the most emotion that we've ever really had in an episode. Because Phos has had people near them get, destroyed, right?
Right.
And had all the guilt that is associated with that. But here especially because, it was after Antarcticite saved them when, when Phos should have been dead, right?
Right. Definitely.
And now they're here to basically make up for Phos's mistake.
Right.
And then it goes even worse.
It goes way worse.
And Phos is still unable to help. And beyond that, it's almost as if there's some part of Phos that wants to just stay safe. Like, because when the golden box doesn't form until after the Lunarians showed up the first time.
Right, which is basically you will be safe in here kind of thing. Exactly.
And since the gold had already attached onto Phos's arms and stuff, and the inclusions had accepted it, and however all that works, there's this notion that it might be what Phos wanted, right? That there was a part of Phos that wanted that, hence then Phos
survival instincts.
Exactly. And then and then Phos, getting down on himself and freaking out and being like, no, come on, you're supposed to be in my arms. Why aren't you doing what I'm telling you to do?
Right.
And Phos has definitely had trouble fighting in the past, not just physically, but also like mentally, We've had several times where Phos just sort of collapsed and did nothing because they were scared,
Yeah.
But Wow.
Yeah. So we have Lunarians making more and more specific targeted incursions that have, like you said, intel that they shouldn't have, as far as we know. Like there's nothing to contradict why they should have this intel, but there's nothing to support why they should have this intel either.
Other than the fact that it's just like they always seem to go after Phos.
Well, it's worse than that. Like in this case, they actually specifically separated Adamant from the rest of them.
Yeah.
And see, I don't think necessarily they were going after Phos. I think what it is you assume that everyone here has an unlimited memory source of all these encounters that they've had.
Sure.
And the gems don't seem to evolve while the Lunarians do.
Right.
So
which fits with the whole, like bone aspect.
Possibly, yeah. But the idea that, well, at the very least, Antarcticite was there. So they knew that there are usually only one of them on each side, here during the winter. So they forced the sun to come out even more, which is what allows the Lunarians to move. So once the sun came out in that very, very
brief instant,
quick, but it was like a sudden shift.
Right,
and
the clouds parted.
But it was so much of a shift that Antarcticite actually was like, wait a minute. We need to go back. Like they had an actual moment where they're like, so, hold on, this is not good. But then Phos ended up going all tentacle, golden liquid arm things here, which y'all, this is crazy. So one of the things that I'm wondering here is you think about what they're doing with Phos and having the inclusions that Phos has, accepting so readily new materials, right? What that might be is something where Phos's unique aspect of being Phos is that's just a property of phospholite or something like that. Or it's something where they're trying to make the point of that when Phos dissolved into ventricosis.
Sure.
And back then, that was when Phos gained the ability to communicate with other semi-organic or organic materials, okay? And because of that, Phos's inclusions are more accepting and are more able to interact with other things. So what we're seeing here might be just a continual buildup of what they did with the ice flows talking with Phos, ventricosis, and Aculeatus talking with Phos, and then Aculeatus was being like, well, we could use Phos to interact with the Lunarians, and there's this idea that Phos, I think, is like now becoming some kind of
something else,
but specifically something that could be a how would I say it? Like not a diplomat, but some kind of intermediary. Thank you. Yes, and the ready acceptance of all these other materials is just a physical, beautiful representation of that. And then also a potential future for the gems as a whole, since in the past they've been limited to only including their original material. So in some ways you could make more gems this way, right?
Sure, yeah. I mean,
like they wouldn't be as limited in how they would.
Yeah,
I'm not 100% sure if that's what they're building up here, because it might just be a Phos specific thing.
It definitely could be.
And it could be a blend of the two, but I don't know how that would look.
Given how they've made each of the three peoples seem very separate and rigid and sort of set in their own way. Yeah. This could definitely be something where they're getting at this idea that they need to be more flexible and adapt and things like that, and that's how they can actually communicate with each other and grow as people. Because if you think about it, like what Phos has had happen, all the bad stuff, right?
All right.
But then there will be some unforeseen positive consequence as a result of it, right?
Right.
Getting the new, shiny spiral fast legs, right? These arms, right? It's an example where Phos is basically being forced to, through circumstance, give up a part of themselves so that they can get something new, right? And that's how growth works. Like, if you sacrifice one thing, you go through tough stuff, right? And then you come out better for it, right? But you're different is the thing. It's not just that you're better and the same, you're better and different.
Yeah. But it's exciting also from a story perspective because, like, you think about where this story will go, and Phos will be continually evolving then like this. Like, wouldn't you agree that, like, there's almost the sky's the limit really for Phos.
And in some ways, from like the combat perspective, it's almost like it's almost, if it didn't tie in so strongly into the themes and motifs of the story, one might say that it's the cliche anime protagonist that ends up becoming the amalgamation of everything, and is the hybrid of all the different things, and gets all these abilities because of it.
But there's a very real possibility it's something where it's actually ingrained into what Phos is, as even a mineral, like as even a as a gem.
Well, and the thing is that because they haven't explored that, it could be any of those things or none of those things. It could be that Phos is special in that way. It could be that the interaction with ventricosis that brought that about. It could be that that's something that all the gems are capable of, but because of their how rigid they are in their structure, their society, the fact that they're immortal and they don't want to lose any of their memories and things like that, they don't end up growing and pushing themselves, right? There's a ton of different ways they could take this,
right?
So, more concretely on this episode,
right?
This, like, when I think about this is something like the whole thing of
Antarcticite.
Antarcticite, yes, it's such a tough name to pronounce.
Just look at Antarctic.
Right, exactly. Antarcticite, like, Antarcticite's dead at this point. Like, well, like they're gone.
Yeah,
at the very least.
Do you ever think about that, actually? The idea that because they're immortal and that when they shatter, they're not actually really dead. It's just that they need to be reformed in a specific way. That there
and
actually
maybe that takes a million years, but
well, right, but there actually is no death for any of the characters.
Sure.
And that the Lunarians are not necessarily harvesting them to kill them.
Right. If anything, it's like
because they are not. Like they're not trying to conquer the land. Like they don't care about conquest.
Right. Like they just get the stuff and then they go.
And they had the fishing hooks.
Yeah.
Which I gotta say seems very human as kind of
to adapt and take things and incorporate it or.
Well, yes. What I'm meaning is more that it's such a simple thing, but it's a design that we know of. Which means they probably had to have memories. I mean, it's just a crazy thought. But what if the Lunarians thing is that they're just trying to harvest memories because they have none.
Right, so they have no substance to them.
They have no
just
substance.
This
amorphous form of gas, basically. So
they have no individuality. Yeah.
Right. So when they go and harvest the gems, they're basically looking for memories to find what they've lost.
I could definitely see that.
And then what it is it's that you have these moments where the fishing hooks, if you noticed, they had little gem orbs.
Oh yeah.
And those were like they had the same look and style of all the gems that we've seen in the past here. So they seem to also move of their own accord in almost a way that doesn't physically seem possible. Like it was almost like they were being pulled by the gem balls, not the actual, like they were being swung from the Lunarians.
Maybe, I mean, I don't know. It could just be something where they're swinging them around in tentacle powers in anime,
Sure, and it might just be that they needed weight at the end of them in order to give them propulsion. Yes,
exactly.
That's probably what it is.
But the whole thing of the hooks getting pulled out and then them exploding, that was I mean, might just be a stylistic thing, but that was cool. Like they made the fights very, very scary when, if you think about it, okay, Lunarians, it's like, all right, this is something where it's just like, okay, DM rolls for random encounter. It's the same enemy all the time, except it's not. Exactly, because they get, they get tougher and they get different and all that stuff. And then even after all these things, and Antarcticite does this amazing stuff to defeat it, and it actually was defeated. It's not something like, oh, you should have gone for the head or something like that. Yeah. One's still alive. Or no, it's just, reinforcements. Something that we've never seen before. There's no reason why they couldn't do that, but it's the fact that it's become so, like, all the battles are so samey that they get so thrown by these surprises, and yet it still is exciting to me, even though it's a thing of, okay, more Lunarians, more, cookie cutter, like, archers with their arrows and stuff, and they've got to deflect them and whatnot. I was surprised by how engaged I was in this fight. And even when it came to the point where Phos, develops a new latent ability and, whatnot because of, the golden stuff. And maybe it was the visuals. Maybe a lot of it was the visuals. Maybe it was the story. I'm not entirely sure what, but I was so enchanted by it. Like it was just this wonderful magical experience where I was on the edge of my seat. On the edge of my seat. And yeah. Like, even though we haven't actually been with Antarcticite for very long, they really did a good job of, like, building an emotional, like, foundation for their character and getting us to sympathize with them and stuff, and then now they're gone. So
yeah, so we have Antarcticite having this relationship with Adamant that's unique, specifically because they spend their time one-on-one here.
Exactly.
And losing Antarcticite, I think, was an emotional thing. But the thing that I felt more emotional on here was basically that you have Phos, who's a character who's never really taken anything seriously. And it seems like as Phos evolves and incorporates more aspects of other, solid matter into themselves, they actually start to take on a personality a bit different than what they've done in the past. So this is something that I'm not necessarily kind of certain on, but I think that the idea of the gold aspect of Phos wanting to survive and basically don't risk anything here, it's not worth it, there's an aspect of communication and understanding that's happening there on a couple levels. One, the gold part knows what Phos wants,
right,
somehow, which means there's communication going on at the inclusion level. Two, Phos isn't fully, I would say, consistent in what their wants were initially.
Sure. Because
when they were in the box and kind of drowning there, it was something where they were like, leave me in here. But then once Antarcticite was shattered, there was this kind of moment of snap realization of, wait, now this is going beyond survival instincts or even just kind of the lazy aspect here. Now I've got to fight for this. One of the things that Antarcticite had was kind of this desire to prove themselves and to make Dad proud, essentially.
Right.
When Phos decided to, basically overrule the wills of the gold gold parts here, the gold basically was like, all right, well then we're going all in on this. We are all in on this thing. But there was this there was almost this classic kind of hero thing of with the older veteran of Antarcticite passing, Phos was basically given this bolstered resolve, courage, kind of classic protagonist hero thing. But by having what I would say kind of this shedding that happened as Phos was running, it was almost like in some ways there's there's too much. This is kind of a thematic thing more than a plot thing, but there's too much attachment, too much, I would say, desperate kind of clinging to the
past.
The past, I would say, that the gems have.
Right.
And Phos is chasing after this older veteran that fell in battle in, basically a futile, desperate attempt to save them. Ended up kind of bleeding out little parts of themselves, only to be reformed almost instantly by the gold parts. Now, I don't think there's anything really profound on the surface with that, but there could be something just a little bit deeper just in there, in that Phos hides, then releases all the fear, everything, and goes full 100% courage, And
it's beautiful.
It's glorious. It's wonderful. But then from there goes into this angry, determined, give Antarcticite back.
Yeah.
And every bit of Phos's being then moves in conjunction with that. Even the gold, which was originally not in the we're not we're not about all this here.
Yeah.
So it was almost like Phos convinced themselves, or Phos convinced this other,
Right. Phos was driven to the point where they had enough. And when they go, the old parts of themselves start to fall away.
Just a little bit,
fragile parts of themselves fall away. And as it goes, this is if the thing of the limbs being replaced is there's sort of symbolism there with the whole idea of self-improvement and things like that. This is straight up, because when you work out, for instance, if you use a muscle, you're disintegrating small parts of that muscle, right, in order to actually get the energy that causes it to move, right. But because of that, because it's getting broken down, then it fills back in, right. On all those parts where it started to break, it fills back in better. That's what we got here. Even though the weight of what Phos was taking on was more than they were able to handle, or at least more than they would have been able to handle, what they had previously been able to handle, because the need demanded it, because they weren't in Kansas anymore, right? They had to go now. They kept moving, and as they themselves broke and the old pieces of themselves began to fall away, the new filled in the cracks, right? That was the gold with the flower and the everything and the petals, pulling away and stuff. That was all wonderful and fantastic. And it's a great showcase of Phos basically coming into their own, right? Sure. They're finally blooming. But the cracks being filled in with the gold, that was. And then, of course, the tears with the gold, that was great, too.
Yeah,
it was that's
badass. It was intense. It was epic. It had this air of something where there was almost a we attached to this. There's a we won't let you, take anymore.
Sure.
And
neither my old self or my new self.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So so that's all just wonderful. Then we have Adamant, who, I gotta say, they really went to great lengths, the Lunarians, to make sure that Adamant couldn't go over there. Now, here's the thing. I didn't see any fabric tear in reality for these Lunarians that came over there. That's obviously it's obviously a thing of they surprised Adamant. Right. We didn't need to see that. But here's the thing that's kind of interesting. When he obliterates them with his spell, or whatever, it's oh cool, okay, he got them. That's good. But then they change form essentially into some kind of a gas that immobilizes him. It's some leftover effect. Right. Once we are disintegrated, we use our last remaining bits to immobilize him so that he is not able to make it there in time. Right. Cool, clever tactic. It makes sense. All right, gotcha. But we've seen him have that exact same image of them clawing at his robes. In his meditation vision thing. Now, why is it that the show decided to showcase that exact same thing here?
Yeah,
couple possibilities. Do you have any ideas of like things that could add to the possibilities before we start predicting the possibilities?
Well, one of the things that I thought was interesting was how they would cut back in the transitions between how the Lunarians were when they were attacking Phos and Antarcticite, and how they were with Adamant.
Well, that's just kind of a battle. Just
sure, but it felt very intentional, because it wasn't just the fact that they were showing showing the Lunarians, you know, reaching for Adamant and stuff. It didn't seem so much a reaching to restrain, even though that came later. It was more of like a adoration.
Oh, they can't help their love for what they see,
right?
And it's more of like, look at how beautiful this is. That's in front of us.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, and I think we've noticed that in the past, but the idea that on some level, this is something that I find to be rather interesting, is that they're gems, right? They're not
the Lunarians, or
no.
Okay,
no, I'm talking about
the gems.
The gems, yeah. They're gems. They're not people. Like they are people. They're people, but they are not humans. But why do they wear clothes? This is such a dumb question, right? Why do they wear clothes? It's obviously
has them wear clothes.
It's obviously a meta question of the creator wanted them to wear clothes, right?
Yeah, same thing with the
It makes us identify with them a little bit more, and it makes us like them a little more.
Yep.
It's a dumb thing.
Same reason the Admirabilis look like they're wearing clothes, and the Lunarians also seem to be wearing clothes, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think specifically with Adamant, the reason why he wears a robe on some level is because he doesn't really want to be, looked at maybe a little too closely. I don't think
truly perceived. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also kind of a thing of a sign of respect. But when I think about stories in myth and stories in the past, when there's this idea of people clutching at the robes of sensei.
Oh, yeah.
There's this idea of desiring something to be given from the master to those clutching for clutching in desperation. So we've talked about the Lunarians as having no individuality, right? They have no memory. So yeah. And so on some level, there's some kind of hive mind, whatever thing.
They definitely seem to work as a collective.
They work as a collective on some level, right? But what I think is curious is that the ones that were close to Adamant were the ones that clutched because they were nearby.
Okay.
But it seemed like it was not a thing of, like you said, like a part of the trap necessarily. That's just, they were there, and they were all kneeling before him.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a little bit of a vibe that while you were making the guess that Adamant is a human, I'm going to say no, that's not that he's a human. It's that he holds the key to their salvation, potentially.
Right.
To them being saved. And that's why they keep coming back here.
Well, okay, yeah, absolutely.
And his work in the gems, the stuff that he just knows how to do, that's basically a result of that key that they need from Adamant.
Sure. So this is actually kind of why I'm thinking that he is a human, but not necessarily in a human like in the traditional sense that we would think.
Spirit, flesh, and bone. He's all three.
Basically, that he's all three. Because when I think about it, the Lunarians, their objective has been to gather the gems, right? Gather the bones, which makes sense if you think about the fact that they are so kind of formless, you know, that the bones seem to be what would give them structure so that they could exist more than just some ethereal whatever it is that they are now, right?
Okay.
And the way they treat Adamant seems to be something of like worship, right? Because they were literally getting on their knees, right?
Yep.
So why would they do that? the way I'm thinking is that he's some kind of supreme being to them, basically, in that he is a whole being. He has all three, right? And one of the things that they've shown a lot recently is the idea of, like, the way he responded to, like, the way the other gems responded when Phos said that they loved Adamant, and the way Adamant has been shown, especially in this episode, to be incredibly caring, which I guess, like, the gems are caring too, but, like, I guess the main thing that made it seem like that was when they trapped him in the smoke and stuff. He didn't seem to be like, it seemed to be the kind of thing where it's a person that's trapped as opposed to, like, a substance that is trapped. Because, like, when the way the gems move, they have a certain way that they move, right? And it still seems to communicate the idea that they're gems. With Adamant, when he moves, it's usually very much, like, you know, reserved and everything, and
we rarely see him move, actually.
Right, exactly. You know, which fits with his name, Adamant, right? You know, he's that which does not move. And here we saw him pushed to his limits and seeing his true, you know, like the truest aspect of himself that we've ever seen thus far, I feel like. Because everything else is usually so, like, you know, calm and collected, and, like, you know, when he broke the table, it was just like this slightest movement that just shattered the whole thing, right?
I don't know where you're going with this.
I'm not entirely sure either. I guess it was just a feeling, but yeah.
Okay, so going back to the thing of why they were there and how they were there, and the fact that we didn't necessarily see anything, you know, specific as to what, you know, brought them there.
You think it might be in his head?
Well, no, I think it might be something where when he meditated, he saw this.
Okay.
This is a crazy idea, but it's almost the exact same scene.
Sure.
And he kind of rejected from it and stuff like that. So if we, you know, look at it as an idea of meditation, one of the ideas of meditation is to search your memories, or potentially search just kind of the you know, the you know, in the fantasy sense, search the cosmos for beings to interact with and stuff. And maybe on some level his fear of what happened in that encounter in the dream gave the Lunarians an idea about how to restrain him here.
Okay.
And there's something where basically it's not like he saw the future, but he basically ended up causing the future by his mistake in that meditation kind of dream and state. And on some level, the idea of him being a whole being, I like it less than the idea of him being human, but more in the idea of him having some means of finding some kind of balance. But also, I would say more so, rather than having him being whole, being one that actually has parts of specifically the Lunarians.
Sure.
Because his spell kind of stuff seems to be a kind of thing where it's like a blend of magic, but he uses material components and stuff. And that just screams to me of basically he's found the fusion of Lunarians and the gems. And if he's specifically going into some kind of meditative state, and he is afraid in that meditative state of being grasped by Lunarians, that sounds like something where he is afraid of losing his individuality to the collective as they encroach upon his mind.
Because he's separated himself, which
which is my crazy thought is, we're talking about their intelligence and how they just seem to know all these things, right?
Yeah.
What if it's already too late, Adamant? You accidentally have let them into your head. You've given them enough space in there, basically, to where they are now aware of the movements of the people on the island.
They could even do something where maybe it's where Adamant was a Lunarian. If he is some kind of one of those, like, you know, more whole being, right?
Sure.
That he used to be a Lunarian,
and he basically clawed his way out of that hive mind, and maybe with the, like, if he has the bone aspect too, then he was able to give himself substance and everything, and and so that's why he doesn't want to go back, but that's also why maybe they know so much, because they have that connection, right? Which could also potentially okay, here's a crazy thought.
Okay.
Adamant cares a lot about all the gems. But he seems to really take note of Phos.
Well, I think it's because Phos is displaying properties and traits that are just unique in his experience over these eons.
Well, and even before then, it could have just been maybe because Phos was, Phos needed to have adult supervision,
I think actually, if we go back and look at the beginning, he's not that. He's kind of passive regarding Phos.
Right. But the thing is that he still treats Phos differently than the rest of the gems.
Are you saying that because we haven't had time to look at him with the other gems, it's something where he could treat them all uniquely, but it's because Phos is one that kind of needs that unique treatment.
Basically,
he's willing to give it.
Yeah, because Phos wasn't a part of expeditions and everything like the others and stuff. So basically, if it's something where Phos needed extra attention, and Adamant was previously a Lunarian and hooked up to their hive mind or whatever, then that's why they're going after Phos, because Adamant is thinking about Phos more than the others. So that basically they have more specific information on Phos.
It still basically boils down to they have an in through Adamant's head, and
that would explain in my mind why he meditates, because he's basically needing. Because when I think about meditation, there's the mystical aspect in like fantasy type stories where it's like connecting with like other entities that are out there, astral projection, whatever. But traditionally, it's so that you can basically collect your own thoughts, so that you attain a better mastery over yourself.
Right.
And if he's someone that clawed his way away from the Lunarians, and he still has a semi-connection to their hive mind, then that might be something that needs to be maintained so that he retains his individuality, so that he doesn't let things drift out to them. And when he meditates, that's what he's basically doing battle against, is he's doing battle against the hive mind that's trying to pull him back.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. I think that it works in the idea that he does this regularly. There was no like, oh, now he's suddenly meditating more than usual.
This is what he does, all the time.
He does this all the time.
Yeah.
This
is good luck moving him thing. Or getting his attention. Right. Yeah.
But the idea that he knows how to work them, like he knows how to
the Lunarians, or
no. Adamant knows how to work the gems. He knows how to.
Sure. Okay.
Do all that stuff there. That's something that I need them to give an explanation to that. Because if you go with the, he's just been around for eons.
He's the one person who first figured it out, kind of a thing.
Right. But the idea of first figuring it out doesn't work in the standpoint of, are we just going to say that he formed off of that rock face just at one time, and then just slowly but surely kind of found others that were doing that?
I don't think he's a gem.
That's the thing, right? We have to assume on some level he's not a gem. So I'm saying that this ties back into the whole thing of him being not necessarily human, but not necessarily a gem fully either.
Some combination being type thing, potentially. Yeah. But then at the same time, one of the things. Okay, so whenever I think about the idea of Adamant being some kind of like the next evolutionary stage of these peoples, right? The thing that makes me question that is that he doesn't seem to be encouraging that same kind of progression in the gems themselves. Now, it might be that he hasn't.
Who are you talking about, Phos or Adamant?
Adamant. He doesn't. Gotcha. like since the gems are immortal, if that were something that Adamant thought was a good idea or whatever, then you would think that they would all have done that by now, right? If it was something that he fully understood.
So there's some aspect of it that's either still a mystery to him, or he perceives as being dangerous, or something, or he never actually went through the process himself. He's just like saying. The last human, or something like that. If it was something, along those lines.
I got you.
Because the immortality thing, it really changes the entire ball game, like how they treat the lost parts of themselves for sure, but then also just their civilization, like the fact that they're immortal but their civilization is so stagnant. That's kind of a big deal.
Well, they're constantly under threat of attack from this undefeatable enemy.
Yeah.
So I understand that.
Mm-hmm. But then the question is, like, why haven't they been defeated yet?
They're immortal.
Well, right, but if the Lunarians can just whisk away, pieces of them, and it's so rare that any of them will actually form.
Right, but there are ones that actually form.
Right, but if Phos is the youngest and they're like 300 years old or something, then it really doesn't happen very often.
Well, sure, but the idea is that there are a couple dozen of them at least, and some of them are thousands of years old.
Right.
So at the very least, those ones that are thousands of years old have not been put under sufficient threat in those thousands of years.
Exactly. They've
in order
done
to be actually shattered by.
Exactly. They've done a fantastic job of fending off the Lunarians for thousands of years, even though there's a very limited number of them, which again begs the question of, then what is this that's going on with why all the times that we're seeing the Lunarians now, the Lunarians are doing so well? Is it just because
all the ones that they're attacking are softer on the Mohs scale? Most of the ones that they are actually fighting are extremely fragile.
Okay.
They're not hard, really, on the Mohs scale.
Yeah,
like, specifically, Antarcticite was making a point of they're either the same hardness as Phos, or they're even, like,
softer, but then during the winter they start to freeze or whatever, and that makes them hard enough to be able to go out and do all this stuff, and then they're a badass.
Right, but it's something where it's like all the ones that have technically been shattered or something like that are relatively weaker on this.
Right, it's not like the diamonds, even though I think Dia had a point where they, like, a part of them broke, but it was in a, like, extenuating circumstances.
Yeah, it's something where it's I think that's part of it, is just that the Lunarians will never break or shatter someone like Bortz, but they could restrain Bortz if they needed to. But then you have Adamant, who has spells and stuff. So
right, but even he has limitations, as we saw in this episode, because even after he got there and he fired off his, like, final salvo against them, it wasn't enough.
I'm still banking on the whole thing that the reason why the Lunarian attacks have escalated or have gotten so intense or so targeted or so efficient or so clever is because of Phos's dissolution into ventricosis. That changed things.
Yeah,
that basically changed things. It's something where Phos is now a living representation of what could be possible for all the potential races, if you will,
and the Lunarians
in this weird world.
And the Lunarians didn't seem to really be effective at making their attacks until they did that clever thing of dropping ventricosis in there. So yeah, great episode. Like, this episode was this episode was really good. We got a little bit crazy into some of the theories here, but I think that one thing that can't be understated about this show is that this is how you do 3D in anime. Yes.
Like, if anyone tells you that 3D in anime is just a mistake, like, this anime kills it.
Gorgeous.
And if you look, it's not all 3D.
Nope.
Like, it's not all 3D.
Yeah, like, the eyes are definitely 2D.
They know when to use 2D, and there's so much that can be said for just how gorgeous this is. So,
and the ending this episode, like,
the ending was really sad
that track
and
was
really
so
beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and long discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction right now, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there, and any level of support gets you access to our Discord, where you can chat with us about stories or just hang out and participate in community stuff or just whatever. And if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.